when I refused to sell my shop to save my brother. They said I wasn't family anymore until I acted. The knife twisted into my gut that rainy night in the alley behind my own damn store wasn't just steel. It was every lie my family had fed me since the day I was born. And as the blood pooled warm and sticky under the dumpsters, mixing with the Chicago slush, I realized with my last gasping breath that dying wasn't the worst part, it was coming back. I woke up choking on the stale air of my old apartment, the one I'd sublet before the big expansion. My heart hammered like a jackhammer against my ribs, and for a split second, I thought it was the morgue. But no, sunlight sliced through the blinds, hitting the faded poster of Wrigley Field on the wall. And my hands. God. My hands were young again. Smooth. Unscarred from years of hauling crates and scrubbing counters. I bolted upright, staring at the calendar on my fridge. March 15th, 2018. 7 years back. Before the debts. Before the threats. Before they turned on me like a pack of stray dogs. My name's Alexandra Hale. And I'd just been given a do-over. Not some cosmic joke or near-death hallucination. This was real. The scar on my knee from that biking accident in high school? Gone. The tattoo on my wrist. A stupid heart with family first, inked after Mom died? Still there? Mocking me. I stumbled to the bathroom mirror, splashing water on my face. And there I was, 32, wide-eyed, with that same unruly brown hair I'd always hated. But the eyes, those were different. Harder. Sharper. They'd seen too much in that last life. It hit me then, the full weight of it. In my first go-round, I'd built Hale's Corner Market from nothing, a hole-in-the-wall bodega in Pilsen, Chicago, slinging coffee, lotto tickets, and enough gossip to keep the neighborhood buzzing. It was my lifeline after Dad's construction business tanked in the '08 crash. Mom's cancer had eaten the savings, and by 25, I was the only one still standing. My brother, Tommy, he'd chased pipe dreams, crypto schemes, get-rich-quick flips on foreclosed houses. Always one bad bet away from rock bottom. My sister, Becca, married up to some slick lawyer named Greg, living in Lincoln Park like she'd erased the Rust Belt grit we grew up with. And Dad, bitter old Frank Hale, nursing Pabst Blues at the kitchen table, blaming everyone but himself for the fall. They came to me in 2024, desperate. Tommy had pissed away a loan from the wrong people, Chicago's underbelly. The kind with tattoos that tell stories you don't want to hear. 50 grand, plus interest that snowballed to 200. Sell the store. Alex, Dad had growled over takeout lo mein in my cramped back office. It's bricks and mortar. Tommy's blood. Becca nodded, her diamond earrings catching the fluorescent light like tiny accusations. We're family. You owe us this. Owe them? I'd bailed them out a dozen times, co-signing Tommy's student loans he never used, fronting Becca's wedding deposit when Greg's bonus evaporated. But the shop? That was mine. Sweat equity in every shelf, every late-night inventory count. It was the anchor for half the block, Mrs. Rivera's diabetes meds on credit, kid from the projects grabbing free milk before school. Selling meant folding it all, watching it get flipped into another soulless vape den. I can't, I'd said, voice steady even as my stomach nodded. Find another way. That's when the mask slipped. Tommy's eyes went cold, like I'd just denied him oxygen. You're killing me? Cease. For what? Your little empire? Becca leaned in, Voice syrupy venom, selfish. Always the martyr. Dad just stared. The man who taught me to swing a hammer now looking at me like I was the nail. The threats started subtle. Slash tires. Anonymous calls at 3 a.m. Sell or else. Doubled the locks. Installed cameras. But they weren't bluffing. On that final night, December 3rd, 2025. The date burned into my soul. Tommy cornered me after closing. Rain hammered the awning like fists. Last chance. Alex. His breath reeked of cheap whiskey. Eyes darting to the shadows where Becca and Dad lurked. I laughed. Bitter and broken. Family first. Right? The blade came from nowhere. Or maybe from Tommy's sleeve I never saw. Just the fire in my belly. The wet gasp. And their faces blurring as I hit the pavement. Becca whispering. She'll understand, like I was the unreasonable one. Dad turning away, muttering about loose ends. And Tommy? He knelt, almost tender, wiping the rain from my cheek.
Sorry. Cease.
Business.
Now.
Here I was, reborn in 2018. Pre-debt. Pre-betrayal. The shop was just a seedling then, a lease on a rundown corner spot. Shelves half-stocked with dented cans and dreams. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Tommy. Hey. Big sis. Beers tonight? Dad's grilling. Innocent. Clueless.
Or was he?
No, in this timeline. The schemes hadn't hatched yet. But I knew the rot was there, festering under the surface. I dressed quick, jeans, flannel, boots caked from yesterday's delivery run, and headed out. The L train rattled overhead as I walked the familiar blocks of Pilsen, murals splashed on brick walls, Takarius pumping out the smell of sizzling carne asada. Kids kicked a soccer ball in the alley, oblivious. My pulse thrummed with purpose. This time, I wouldn't play the fool. I'd unearth their secrets, twist the knife before they could touch me. But revenge? It's a slow burn, and I had to start small. Blend in. Let them think Alexandra Hale was still the soft touch. First stop, the shop. The sign wasn't up yet, just coming soon in peeling vinyl.
Inside.
Dust motes danced in the sunbeams, and I ran my fingers over the counter, feeling the ghost of that last inventory. A figure loomed in the doorway, Mrs. Kowalski, the landlord's wife, all perm and peroxide. Alexandra, you look like you've seen a ghost. Dearie. Rough night, I muttered, forcing a smile. Just excited to open. She chattered about permits. But my mind raced. In the old life, she'd been the one to tip me off about Tommy sniffing around property records, trying to leverage the building for his loans. Family trouble, she'd asked once. Eyes sharp.
Now.
I'd use that. By noon, I'd sweet-talked her into an early walk-through, pocketing a key I shouldn't have. Then, coffee run to the corner Starbucks, ironic, since I'd killed to keep independence alive. There, scrolling my phone, I dug into the past that wasn't past anymore. Tommy's Facebook, posts about hustle culture, links to shady investment forums. Becca's Instagram, brunches with Greg, captions like blessed beyond measure family goals. Dad's nothing, radio silence, which screamed louder than words. The text came as I sipped my Americano. Dad. Dinner at 6. Don't be late. My fingers hovered. Play nice. Alex. Reel them in. The Hale family home hadn't changed. a sagging two-flat in Little Village. Virgin Mary statue in the yard chipped from winters past. Smoke curled from the grill as I pulled up in my beat-up Civic. Tommy bounded out first, all 6-foot Irish charm, clapping me on the back. "There's my girl. How's the empire building?" "Slow but sure," I said, hugging him just tight enough to feel his ribs. He smelled like Axe body spray and ambition. Becca emerged next, Greg trailing like a well-groomed shadow, her laugh tinkling as she air-kissed my cheek. "Alex, you're glowing. New skincare?" "Something like that," Dad grunted from the porch, flipping burgers with a spatula like it owed him money.
Seat. Eat.
We gathered around the picnic table, plastic plates groaning under brats and potato salad. Small talk flowed. My grand opening in 2 weeks. Tommy's consulting gig, code for odd jobs. Becca's nursery redesign for the baby on the way. Greg droned about tax loopholes. It was all so normal. So achingly fake. But I watched. Tommy's eyes flicked to his phone too often, thumb scrolling invisible deals. Becca's smile never reached her eyes when Dad griped about bills.
And me?
I prodded gently. "Hey,
Tom.
remember that flip house you were eyeing last year? How'd that pan out?" He shrugged, beer foam on his lip. "Dodged a bullet. Market's volatile."
Lie.
I knew he'd lost 10 grand on it. The seed of his bigger falls. "What about you?"
Sis?
"Need investors for the store." My gut twisted, but I laughed it off.
Nah. I'm bootstrapping.
"Keeps it mine." Becca shot me a look. Pity? Calculation? Dad piled on. "Stubborn like your mother." She'd have sold and started fresh. The hook sank deeper that night. Over digestive whiskeys in the living room. Tommy pulled me aside while the others cleared plates. "Seriously, Alex, if you ever need capital, I got connections." His grin was wolfish, eyes gleaming with that hale hunger for more. "I'll keep that in mind," I whispered, clinking my glass to his. Inside, the plan crystallized. Let him dangle the bait.
이대비다.
Just enough to trace the line back to the sharks. But first, I needed proof.
Dirt.
The kind that sticks. Back home, I cracked my laptop, fingers flying. Public records first. Tommy's credit report, already dinged from maxed cards. Then deeper, a reverse search on his emails, hacked via a forgotten shared password from our teen years. Guilt's a hell of a motivator. Jackpot. Threads to a consultant named Vito Moretti, mid-level enforcer for the outfit, Chicago's lingering mob echo. Dates from 2017. Need intro for property play. Sisters got prime real estate. My blood ran cold. It started earlier than I thought. They'd been circling me for years, not months. Tommy wasn't the fall guy. He was the architect. Becca's replies? Keep it quiet. Dad's fragile. And Dad? CC'd on everyone. I slammed the laptop shut, chest heaving. Sleep evaded me. Visions of that alley replaying in high def. But dawn brought clarity. Revenge wasn't a sprint. It was chess. And I'd just spotted their opening move. 2 weeks later, the shop opened with a bang, ribbon cutting. Free churros courtesy of the local bakery. The neighborhood turned out. Alderman for a photo op. Mrs. Rivera with her grandkids in tow. Tommy and Becca showed. All smiles for the Polaroids. Proud of you, kid, Dad rumbled, slipping me a 50 like it erased the years of nothing. But as the crowd thinned, Tommy lingered, nursing a soda. Place looks sharp. Ever think bigger? Chain it. Maybe. I wiped down the counter. Casual. Maybe.
Why?
You got a pitch. His eyes lit. As a matter of fact, he launched into it, a syndicate interested in expanding bodegas into urban oases, code for gentrified cash cows. Vito's outfit, laundered through shell core. The hook. Send me the prospectus, I said, voice even. Inside. Gears turned. I'd string him along. Feed just enough hope to draw out the web. But controversial? Hell yes. This meant playing dirty. Faking interest meant flirting with the fire that killed me once. That night, alone with a bottle of Malort and my demons, I drafted the first email. Intrigued. Let's talk numbers.
Send.
The trap was set. Little did I know, the real twist was already uncoiling in the shadows. Becca, pregnant and perfect, wasn't just complicit. She was the brains. And Dad? He'd buried a secret deeper than any grave. The real reason Mom died broke wasn't cancer treatments. It was his gambling debts, funneled through Tommy's hustles long before I ever signed a lease. As March bled into April, the calls ramped up. Tommy, breathless. They love your vibe. Alex. Vito wants a meet. I stalled, citing audits, permits, buying time to dig. Hired a PI on the down low, a grizzled ex-cop named Ruiz who owed me from the old life, perks of foresight. His first report landed like a gut punch. Wire transfers from Dad's old union account to Vito's fronts. Dated 2010. Mom's medical bills. A cover. He bet the house literally on Black Sox reruns and horse tracks, dragging us all under. I confronted the mirror that night. Fists clenched. They killed her slow, then came for me. Tears stung, but I wiped them. No more victim. Time to push back. The controversial call came mid-May. Ruiz uncovered Becca's role. Not just emails, text to a burner phone. Coordinating insurance on my shop. Arson?
No.
Sutler. Fabricated code violations to force a sale. She'd lawyered up with Greg's firm, filing quiet liens against my lease. My own sister, weaponizing the system we grew up despising. Rage boiled, but I channeled it. Met Tommy at a dive bar in Wicker Park, all exposed brick and craft IPAs that tasted like regret. I'm in, I lied, sliding over forged financials, bloated numbers to hook the greed. But I want equity. 20%. He beamed, clinking bottles. You're a Hale after all, as he texted Vito. I slipped a tracker into his jacket pocket. Ruiz's tech. Untraceable.
Now.
Every meet. Every drop. I'd shadow. Summer heat wave hit like a fever dream. The city shimmered, asphalt bubbling under tires. I expanded the shop, added a craft beer cooler, irony's my jam, partnered with local artists for mural walls. Business boomed, but so did the pressure. Tommy's calls turned edgy, Vito's impatient. Sign the prelims. I dodged, countering with due diligence. Ruiz tailed him to a warehouse in Humboldt Park. Crates of what? Not booze. Fentanyl precursors. Smuggled via Moretti's ports. Tommy wasn't just in debt, he was complicit in the poison flooding our streets.
The streets I served.
The breaking point? A late-night stakeout. I parked across from the warehouse, binoculars fogging in the humidity. Tommy emerged, haggling with goons in tracksuits. Then Becca, waddling now, 7 months along, pulled up in her Audi, handing over a briefcase. Cash? Docs? My PI snapped pics, her laughing, Tommy kissing her cheek. Family united. I nearly drove into the fray, tires screeching. But no, patience. The controversial decision loomed. Leak it anonymously to the feds?
Nah.
Too clean.
Too quick.
I wanted them to feel the noose tighten.
In.
By July, I'd woven my web. Faked a yes on the deal. Scheduled to close for August. Vito's crew scouted the shop. All gold chains and cologne. Nice setup. Dull, one leered. I smiled, pouring coffee. Stick around. It's about to get better. Tommy threw a pre-celebration at the house, steaks, fireworks, the works. Dad pulled me aside, eyes misty. Knew you'd come around. For the family. I nodded, throat tight. Always, Dad. But as Becca raised a toast to new beginnings, I slipped out back.
Daieling Ruiz.
Ramp it up. We hit them at the signing. The plan. During escrow, Ruiz plants evidence, traced funds linking Vito to the drugs. Tommy's prints on the manifests. I'd walk. Shop intact. And testify. They'd crumble. Indictments. Asset freezes. Tommy in Supermax. Becca disbarred.
Dad.
Well, he'd face the mirror of his sins. But revenge is a bitch. As August dawned sticky and unforgiving, the first crack appeared. A call from an unknown number. MS.
Hale?
This is Detective Larson. CPD. We need to talk about your brother's associates.
Shit.
They'd sniff me out. Or had they? Paranoia crept in. Was Ruiz dirty? No, his rep was solid. But as I hung up, staring at the shop's ledger, numbers I'd cooked to lure them, a deeper dread settled. What if exposing them exposed me? The faked docs. The trackers. Lines blurred fast in the gray. Still, I pressed on. The signing loomed, a nondescript office in the loop, all glass and greed. I arrived early, heart pounding like that first death rattle. Tommy waited in the lobby, tie crooked, grin wide. This is it. Cease. Yeah, I breathed, hugging him. His cologne choked me, same as that alley. This is it. We filed into the conference room like lambs to varying slaughters, me in my power blazer. Tommy fidgeting with his pen. Vito's suits flanking a shark of a lawyer named Harlan. All pinstripes and predatory smiles. Becca sat across. Her belly a shield. Greg beside her scrolling emails like this was just another closing. Dad wasn't there. Too emotional, Tommy had said, but I felt his ghost in every handshake. Harlan slid the contracts over, 30 pages of fine print burying the hooks. Equity for me? Barely a sliver. The syndicate got Vito on inventory. Staffing, even the damn coffee blend. My shop. Neutered. In the old life, I'd have balked. Now, I initialed with a flourish, the pen scratching like claws on coffin wood. Pleasure doing business. Alexandra, Vito rumbled, his voice gravel from too many unfiltered camels. He was shorter than I remembered from Ruiz's photos. But the eyes, dead fish in a suit, same. We shook. His grip lingering. Testing. Family's everything.
Ah.
Damn right, I replied, meeting his stare. Tommy hooped, slapping my back as we exited. Drinks on me. The gauge. Yeah. I demurred. Early stock run. But tailed them from a block away. Ruiz on speaker in my earpiece. They're heading west. Pumping each other up. Your brother's sloppy mentioned the insurance policy to Harlan. Insurance. Becca's pet project. My PI had dug deeper, not just liens, but a side deal with a city inspector for safety violations. Fire code BS to shutter me post-sale if I balked. Controversial? Exposing it meant burning bridges with the neighborhood. Whispers of corruption could tank my rep before the indictments landed. That night, alone in the shop, I pored over the docs. Buried in addendum C, a clause tying my equity to performance metrics. Miss quota? Forfeit. It was a trapdoor.
Plain as day.
But proof of the fraud? Harlan's firm had history, shell games for the outfit. Per court filings Ruiz emailed. I forwarded it all to an old contact. Lena Vasquez. Fed prosecutor I'd met at a chamber mixer in the old timeline. Hypothetical, I wrote. Whistleblower scenario. Her reply pinged at dawn. Intriguing. Coffee? Discreet. We met at a Ukrainian spot in Ukrainian village, borscht steam and babushkas eavesdropping. Lena was sharper than I remembered, 40s. No-nonsense Bob. Eyes that dissected lies for breakfast. This hypothetical smells like Moretti. You got skin in it. More like blood, I said, sliding a thumb drive. Timelines, transfers, the works. But it's messy. My family's tangled. She sipped her coffee. Black as tar. Family makes the best rats. We can RICO the syndicate, racketeering, drugs, extortion. Your brother flips. Veto goes down hard.
But you?
Immunity if you testify. No deals for kin.
Testify.
Airing the Hale's dirty laundry in open court. Dad's gambling. Tommy's dope runs. Becca's forgeries. The neighborhood would feast. Headlines screaming, Bodega Queen betrays blood. Controversial as hell. But justice? Or just my vengeance dressed up? I'm in, I told her. But control the narrative. No leaks till the bust. As we parted, my phone buzzed. Tommy.
Yo. Sis.
Dad's fading. Doc says liver. Come by. The old bastard. In the first life, his cirrhosis hit post-betrayal. Guilt eating him from the inside.
Now?
Karma's preview.
I drove over.
The city a blur of heat mirages. The house reeked of Benghazi and regret. Dad in his recliner. Jaundiced skin glowing under the TV's flicker. Some cubs rear-end droning. Alex, he croaked. Remote trembling in his hand. Heard about the deal. Smart girl.
Yeah. I said.
Taking his hand, cold.
Papery.
Tommy says you're not great. He waved it off. Old bones. Listen.
About your mom.
I never told you. Save it. Dad. The words slipped out. Sharper than intended. His eyes widened. Hurt flickering. Good. Let him stew. We both know why she suffered. He deflated. Muttering about bad luck. I left him there. The seed planted.
Doubt.
The first fracture. August sweltered on. The shop a hive. New hires vetted by me.
No luos elips.
Security cams upgraded to cloud feed Ruiz monitored. Tommy dropped hints of bigger plays, a chain of stores. Vito's vision. I nodded. Feeding intel to Lena. Her team built the case. Warrants prepped. Wires humming. but the tension coiled tighter. Becca cornered me at a baby shower, hers, all pastel balloons and forced cheer in a Bucktown loft. "You seem distant," she said, hand on her bump. "Everything okay with the deal?" "Peachy." I sipped mimosa, watching Greg schmooze donors. "Just busy." "Congrats again." She leaned in, voice low. "Tommy's stressed. Vito's pushing timelines. If you back out, threat or plea?" Her eyes darted fear, not malice. For a beat, I saw the girl who'd shared secrets under blankets, plotting escape from Dad's rages.
But nah.
That girl died with Mom. "Won't happen," I lied, clinking glasses. Later, in the bathroom, I texted Ruiz, deeper on Becca. Motives. His report hit that night. Emails from her to a clinic. Prenatal consults laced with financial stressors. The baby wasn't just Greg's ticket up, it was collateral. If the deal soured, Vito's protection extended to family, subtle hints of accidents in the threads.
Sick.
They'd pawned the unborn for a payout. My resolve hardened. No mercy. The controversial pivot came mid-month. Lena called. "We're green for surveillance. But your shop's the hub. Need a plan inside."
Me.
Undercover for the feds. Wired during drops. Risky as hell. Vito's crew swept for bugs. And one slip meant a shallow grave. But the intel?
Gold.
I'd hear confessions. Map the network. "Do it," I said. "But my terms, no arrests till I say." She agreed, wary. "You're playing vigilante?
Hale.
Don't get burned." Burned? I'd already danced in the flames. The first drop, a consult at the shop.
Vito sending a Lieutenant Rico.
All tats and swagger, to inspect inventory. I buzzed him in after hours. Wire itching under my blouse. "Coffee," he grunted, eyeing shelves. "Boss likes the numbers." "You deliver. We deliver." "Mutual," I said, pouring. Ruiz listened live. Transcribing. Rico rambled, Tommy's cut from prior flips. Dad's old union ties laundering cash. Then the bomb. "Your old man? He greenlit the first play. Back when your ma was sick," said the shopped cover. My hand froze mid-pour. Dad not just gambler, instigator. He'd eyed my fledgling lease as a bailout. Even then, Mom's chemo skipped doses to fund his debts. Rage blur my vision. Hot Joe splashed Rico's cuff. "Easy,
Doll.
he smirked, dabbing. "Family shit, right?" I forced a laugh. "Always."
Post-drop.
I drove aimless, ending at Mom's grave in Queen of Heaven, marble angel weathered. Flowers wilted. Kneeling in the dirt, I whispered, "I got you."
Ma.
They pay. But crack showed. Tommy texted manic. "Vito's gold. Next phase. Expansion loan." "You're sig?" I stalled, citing lawyers. Becca called. Voice cracking. "Dad's bad."
Alex.
Hospital. And the baby. Complications. Guilt gnawed, controversial as admitting it. Was I monster now? Pushing when they broke?
No.
They forged this path. Dad coded that night. Varicose bleed. Doc said. I sat vigil in the ICU. Beeps syncing with my pulse. He woke groggy. Tubes snaking. "Alex.
Sorry.
For everything." "Tell me." I pressed. Voice steel.
The debts.
Mom. He wept. Confession spilling. Poker rings in '09. Borrowing from Vito's uncle to chase highs. Thought I'd win. For you kids. Then Tommy joined. Becca covered tracks. The shop. We planned it early. Forgive me. I stood.
Cold.
Earn it. Left him there. Dialing Lena. Accelerate. They're fracturing. September stormed in. Literal and not. Thunder rattling windows as the bust prepped. Ruiz uncovered the twist's edge. Greg wasn't clean. His firm, Vito's legal arm, laundering via philanthropy to Becca's Prego fund. But deeper, a mole in Lena's office, tipping the outfit. Paranoia peaked. Was my wire compromised? I swept the shop myself. Paranoia peaking.
Clean.
But the calls stopped, Tommy ghosting. Becca's voicemails pleading, talk. Then the hammer, a break-in. Midnight.
Alarmsblading, reist over.
Finding the back door jimmied. Safe rifled. Not cash, my ledger. The faked one. They knew. Vito's text, from a burner. Loose lips sink ships.
Hale.
Or stores. Flight instinct screamed. Run. Testify now. But no, climax brewed. I called Lena. Bus tomorrow. Full sweep. She hesitated. Risky. Mole's active. Do it. Controversial to the core. I'd lure them one last time. To the shop. Family meeting. I'd text Tommy.
Urgent. He bit.
Replying frantic. On way. Dad, too. As rain lashed the city, I waited in the dark. .38 from Ruiz is contact heavy in my apron. Not to shoot, feds inbound. But security. The door creaked. Tommy first. Soaked. Eyes wild. What's this? Alex? Vito's pissed. Sit. I flicked the light. Becca and Dad trailing. Drenched. Dad on a cane. Becca clutching her side. We talk.
Now.
Tommy paced. The deal's off? You screwing us?
Us.
I laughed.
Bitter.
You killed me.
Tom.
In another life. They stared.
Confused.
Dad. What? Doesn't matter. I slid printouts across Ruiz's dossiers. Emails. Transfers. Your sins. All of M. Becca gasped. Hand to mouth. How? Doesn't matter. Sirens wailed distant. Closing. Tommy lunged for the papers. I sidestepped. Gun glinting.
Sit.
Down. Controversial? Arming up on family. But they froze. Faces crumbling. Dad sank. Sobbing.
God.
Alex. We ruined you.
We.
Becca whispered. It was his idea. Finger at Tommy. He snarled. Shut up. You signed off. The door burst. Feds. Lena leading. Federal agents. Hands up. Chaos. Cuffs clicking. Shouts. Tommy thrashed. Becca wailed for her water breaking. Dad went limp, muttering prayers. Vito's name echoed in Miranda rights. I stood back, watching the empire crack. Vengeance tasted like ash sweet, then sour. But as they hauled Tommy out, eyes locking on mine, betrayal mirrored, I felt the twist uncoil. Not over. In the squad car's flash, his whisper. You think this ends it? We're blood. The raid's aftermath hit like a Category 5, headlines screaming, Chicago mob bust, bodega owner crack syndicate, my face blurred in the trib. But whispers carried my name through Pilsen like smoke. Neighbors nodded wary at the shop counter, pride mixed with side-eye. You a hero, Alex? Or snitch, Mrs.? Rivera asked, sliding exact change for her meds. I shrugged, brewing her usual black. Survivor. Lena's debrief dragged in a federal holding room, fluorescents buzzing like angry hornets. Clean sweep, she said, flipping files. Vito's singing already. Rico sticks. Your brother? Flipping on Harlan for a deal. Becca's lawyered up. But the forgeries bury her.
Dad.
Well, he's cooperating fully. Full confession on the gambling ring. I nodded.
Numb.
The baby, premature, but stable. NICU at Rush. Her eyes softened. You did good.
Hail.
Immunity's yours. Shop's safe.
Good?
The word rang hollow. As she walked me out, Chicago's autumn wind whipping Lake Street, I felt the weight. Family shattered. My hand in the hammer swing. Controversial victory. Fed darling or pariah. The block's murals seemed to leer. Eyes in the paint judging. Back home, the apartment echoed empty. No victory beer, just tea. Steaming in a mug Mom's ghost would approve. Phone lit with deletes. Tommy's pleas from lockup, sis. Help. Becca's sobs, it wasn't supposed to. Dad's scrawl via lawyer, forgive. Please. I ghosted them all. But sleep? It fled. Nightmares splicing timelines, alley blood with raid cuffs. Mom's hospital bed morphing to Dad's ICU. Weeks blurred. Shop thrived ironic. Revenge brew, coffee blend sold out. A wink to the faithful. Ruiz collected his fee, clapping my shoulder. You're tougher than half the badges I knew, but crack spidered. Anonymous calls, heavy breaths. Vito's crew remnants, or paranoia's echo. The twist hit November 1st. All Saints, irony thick as fog off the lake. A letter.
No stamp.
Slipped under the shop door. Dad's shaky script. Come see me. Truth you need. Cook County Jail loomed gray against the chill. Barbed wire a halo for sinners. Visitation room. Plexiglass and despair. Dad hunched opposite. Orange jumpsuit swallowing his frame. Chemoed now, cancer. They said. Metastasized from the booze. Eyes met through the divider. His pleading. Alex. Thank you. For ending it. Ending. I gripped the receiver. Knuckles white. You destroyed us. He nodded. Tears carving tracks. Not all. The secret.
About you. Me?
Heart stuttered. What? Mom's will. He leaned close. Voice crackling. Not just the house.
A trust. For you.
50 grand. Buried in union accounts.
I hid it.
For the debts. Stolen. My inheritance. Siphoned to fuel his falls. Rage surged. Hot and fresh. You bastard. That could've saved her, he finished.
Broken.
I know. Tommy found out last year. Old timeline?
No.
This one. Pressed me. That's why the shop push. Leverage to keep you blind. The room spun. Rebirth's gift? Tainted. They hadn't just betrayed. They'd erased my start. Mom's last gift.
Poisoned.
Why tell now? I hissed. Absolution. He pressed a hand to the glass. And
The twist.
Tommy didn't knife you. That Allie?
Becca.
She snapped, said you were ruining everything. He covered, took the blame in your vision. Liar or truth? My gut roiled, images shifting. Tommy's tender, wiped now Becca's shadow behind. The blade her grip?
God.
I stood, chair scraping.
Rot.
But as guards led him away, his whisper lingered. Check the safety deposit. Box 417. Keys yours. Numb drive home. Key burning in my pocket, mom's. Engraved AH. Bank of America. Downtown. Evening hush cloaked the vault. Teller's nod. Box slid out cold. Inside. Envelope. Yellowed. Mom's hand. For Alexandra. My anchor. Tears blurred. Deed to a plot in Logan Square, Prime. Undeveloped. And letter. If they come hungry, protect yourself. I saw Frank's eyes change. This is your out.
Love. Ma.
Value? Ruiz later pegged $300K easy. Gentrification gold. Stolen legacy reclaimed. But the cost? My soul's ledger overflowed. Climax brewed that December, echo of my death date. Tommy's trial loomed, plea deal crumbling as Vito ratted deeper. Becca. Out on bond. Belly empty now, C-section after stress collapse. Reached via Greg. Meet. For the family's sake. Controversial? One last play. I agreed. Neutral ground. The diner for my prompt vision. Neon flickering. Open 24/7. Rain sheeting windows like tears. Midnight. I slid into the booth. Back to wall. Becca arrived alone. Coat loose over postpartum frame. Eyes hollow. Alex. Talk. No warmth. Server poured coffees. She stirred.
Spoon clinking like chains.
The baby. He's Greg's spitting image. But without this mess. Voice cracked. I didn't mean the alley. Tommy lied to protect me. Said you'd forgive blood. There it was. Confirmation. The knife her hand. I leaned in. Voice ice. You killed your sister. For what?
Debts.
We were trapped. Tears welled. Dad's mess. Tommy's schemes. The shop was the fix.
I.
Panicked.
Panic.
The word ignited me. Family first.
Right?
Yours. Not mine. She reached across.
Desperate.
Help us. Testify light, say coercion. For the kid. The ask, perjury. Tank the case. Save them. Controversial apex, sacrifice justice for. What? Pity? Or end the cycle? Rain hammered, neon buzzed. Mom's letter burned in my pocket. No. Istud. Tossing a 20. You chose. Live with it. Outside. Wind whipped. But clarity cut sharper. No more ghosts. I drove to the hospital, Becca's boy. Unnamed, in a crib of tubes and beeps. Peered through glass. Tiny. Innocent. A hail. Cursed or clean. Back to the shop. Dawn breaking gray. Ledger balanced. Indictments sealed. Vito's empire dust. Tommy got 15. Becca 8, suspended for the kid.
Dad.
Hospice. Months tops.
Me. Free.
Shop expanded. Second location. Logan plot base. Neighbors warmed. Revenge brew. A line out the door. But the ending? No tidy bow. Happy? Tragic?
Both.
As snow dusted Pilsen that Christmas Eve, I locked up, breath fogging air. Phone pinged, Lena. Case airtight. You're clear. Then Tommy. From inside, contraband text. Merry Christmas.
Cease.
Blood's thicker. I deleted, but paused at Mom's key.
Now on a chain.
Rebirth's gift, not just time, but choice. I chose me. Walking home, lights twinkling on Division Street. I felt the tension uncoil, not gone, but managed. Betrayal's scar? Faint now, like my knee's ghost. Family? Fractured china. Mended with gold kintsugi. Becca once called it in art class. Twist's final turn. Months later. Dad's will, post-mortem, deeded his half of the old house to me. Note, build better. I sold it. Funded scholarships for Pilsen kids. Mom's trust? Seed for a co-op market.
Community owned.
No hails in the chain. Tommy wrote, once more. Post-release in 33, parole for good behavior. Saw the co-op. Proud. I didn't reply, but visited his grave years on no. He lived. Reformed?
Nah.
Twist, he didn't. Overdose in 29. Shank from a cellmate over snitching debts. Becca? Raised the boys solo. Greg fled. She passed the bar again. Pro bono for battered families. We met once. At the co-op opening. Awkward hug. Her eyes asking forgiveness. Maybe, I said. For him. And me?
Alevandra Hale.
40 now. Shop queen of the block. Reborn not to destroy, but rebuild. Vengeance? Served cold,
But warmed by time.
in the alley that December night. Echo of death, I paused. Rain light,
No naive.
just peace.
Hard one.
Family, blood or chosen? I chose the latter, Mrs. Rivera's laugh. Ruiz's toasts. Lena's nods. The end? Open. Tense still. But mine.